Hi, this is Brad with Copper Creek Cuts, and today I want to tell you a story about the very first client that I fired in my lawn care business. So I got this survey, and based on its contents, decided that this client wasn't going to be a good fit for me moving forward, and so I've decided to do several things. This yard is a pretty standard bi-weekly account. It's a perfect size for my 36-inch, and I'm very picky about adding customers. The yard went off fine. There's lots of roots in the back that I had to string trim around from big old oak trees, and there's a lot of paver walkways in the back, almost like a paver patio as well. And there's a lot of low spots. So what that means is that paver patio, when water gets on that yard, which is a pretty low area, it sits on those pavers. And then as it dries, there's a lot of dirt that dries on the pavers as that water goes away. Hopefully you get the gist of it. Dried on dirt on the patio. So I did the first service, got a card on file and charged it, and everything went fine. Oh, and before I get into this too, I want to make clear, I'm not trying to say anything bad about the customer. I've got no problem with what this customer did. All I'm saying is I'm at a point where I'm able to forego work for peace of mind. It's with that frame of mind that I'm having this discussion. I don't want you to think I'm mad at the customer or the customer's garbage for saying this or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. So here's what the review said. Thank you for your willingness to hear from your clients, I guess via this feedback method. I'm pleased overall with the service. I got rated 7 out of 10. I would prefer for the grass to be cut a little shorter. I know for weeds it is better to leave the grass a bit longer, however I prefer it a bit shorter. I cut the yard at 2.5 inches. I really don't like going below 2.5 inches. That's kind of my minimum. And in this yard too, there's lots of roots, and there's also little knobs, not full roots, but just little bumps. So I don't want to go any lower than 2.5 inches. The other thing is this, since this is a bi-weekly account, there's going to be a lot of grass to cut through if I'm going at 1.5 or 1.75 inches. So because of the topography of the yard, all the roots in it, the fact that it's a bi-weekly account and it'd put a lot of wear and tear on the mower, not that I necessarily care about that. I mean, you guys see some of the yards I put my mowers through. But for a bi-weekly account, I don't want that headache and hassle of having to cut it that short. Again, if the customer wants it that way, that's fine. I've got nothing wrong with somebody wanting their lawn cut short. It's just not what I want to do based on those reasons I just gave you. So that's the first thing, is the yard needs to be shorter. Also, will you please blow off a little better? Thank you, and I appreciate your attention. Now, I'm positive that the parts that are being talked about are those pavers that I mentioned that have that dirt just dried on them from constantly being underwater whenever it rains and having dirt settle there. That's not something the blower can fix. I say that in my opinion. If I sat there full bore with the blower settled on one brick at a time for 5 seconds, maybe it would clear it up. But the amount of time I'm willing to spend on the yard for the price point that it's not, and I'd have to deal with it every single time it rained too. So because the customer is looking for a perfectly clean patio that's underneath tons of leaves, the whole thing is covered in oak trees. Most of it is in low spots that will flood when it rains and have dirt dry out on top of it that, you almost have to kick it with your boot to get the dirt up. It's not something the blower picks up. Because of that reason as well, I will not be able to conform to that request. So what am I going to do? The yard was not in an overgrown state, so I charged $45 for the yard. I'm going to completely refund that and say the following. Mr. and Mrs. Whoever, I'm so sorry that you weren't completely satisfied with the service. I'm fully refunding the charge. Unfortunately, I don't feel like I will be a good fit for you moving forward as a lawn care company for these reasons. One, I'm not able to cut the grass any shorter than 2.5 inches. That is both to protect my equipment and protect the health and integrity of the turf itself. Secondly, the pavers, the section that needed to be blown off, that's not something that a blower can handle. That's, dried, caked on dirt from being in low spots. And unfortunately, it'll be that way every time it rains. That $45 is not going to break me. I would much rather have the customer just, satisfied that they got a free cut out of the deal and, make a clean break from there. And let me just wrap up again by saying, I don't think there's anything wrong with the customer asking for this stuff. I don't think the customer is crazy or unreasonable or anything like that. If somebody's paying money for a service, they have every right to request what they want. And on the other hand, the person providing that service has every right to refuse. And that's a choice that I decided to exercise in this instance. And this is the first time I've ever done it, and hopefully the last time I have to do it. And I hope that if you ever run into a similar situation, that you're able to do kind of the same thing and figure out what it is that might not make you the happiest, and figure out a way to cut yourself loose of it, because it feels really good. But anyways, that's what this video was about. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please leave them below. I look forward to reading and replying to them. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.